Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is for those people who have their sun, rising sign, or in some cases both, in the sign of Gemini, and how it relates to the transit of Saturn and Aquarius, which is beginning in March of 2020 and continuing until 2023. For you, this is a fellow air sign, Aquarius. So that in and of itself is great because that's a trine that's coming from your ninth house. And this is the house that Jupiter rules in the opposite sign of Gemini, Sagittarius. And so ninth house matters include things such as higher education, philosophy, religion, and long distance travel. Saturn being in this house can have different effects. You may decide that you want to get more education. The ninth house, Saturn is a planet that connects with foundation and stabilizing your life in some way, getting serious about your life in some way. So an example would be, let's say somebody didn't go to college. They might be in their early 30s or maybe even 40, and they decide that they're finally going to do this. You know, Saturn is the planet that can be associated with delays, and it can bring things eventually to a person. So this can also indicate that you experience something maybe appearing as an obstacle for you to solve, but perhaps by the end of this transit, it's an accomplishment. Because if you think about it this way, if everything just came to you and there was no effort involved, in some cases you might not even see the need for certain things because they were not just coming to you. Sometimes things take time. You know, they don't happen overnight. And sometimes they take more effort. Saturn gives you what you want, but you have to put in the effort. It's not like Jupiter. It's not like Santa Claus or Venus or something like that. So you have to put in that effort, but you get that reward. And you know what? It will give you that reward for years to come because it's a foundation. It's not just like, it's the difference between receiving a monetary gift by somebody, and maybe it's, a decent amount of money, but it's like kind of here today, gone tomorrow, and an income stream, maybe a passive income stream, where it's just continuous, and you can have it for many years. So when we're talking about ninth house matters, we're talking about, for instance, getting serious, because that's part of Saturn, about what you believe your life is about. Now, for Gemini, this can be kind of a conundrum because you are a sign that is all about, like variety and change. And so sticking to something like a belief system may feel confining. It may feel like you don't want to have a set of beliefs. And this is one of the reasons why, other people can get exasperated by people who have a prominent Gemini because they feel like they can never pin them down on anything, including their opinions on things, that they're always changing, they're always shifting. So you may get to a certain point in your life, and this could be like at a juncture in your life where other things are kind of conspiring to make you feel a lot more thoughtful about these issues, and feeling that perhaps you do need to take life more seriously, because you rule the opposite house. You rule the third house, which is more about, rather than wisdom or abstract knowledge, the third house is about gossip and kind of, if it's news, it's the media, but it's kind of like disposable news. Here today, gone tomorrow. Things that are not going to be, topical matters, but not necessarily things that have a lot of staying power. So when you're gathering information, a Gemini person loves trivia. They love, mundane knowledge. But mundane knowledge is great for navigating this world. Wisdom is great for putting this world into perspective as it relates to the cosmos, as it relates to the bigger picture. And so you may be more interested in that area now. And you may even feel a sense of being tested about your spiritual beliefs with Saturn here. And it's kind of like if you're one of those people that is a dabbler, where you go from one spiritual seminar to the next, and you take a bunch of courses and try different meditation techniques. Saturn may be saying, stick to something. Try to build your muscle in this area. Don't be too ADD about it. Saturn can give you a great focus in pursuing something fully, instead of just kind of, being on the surface of things, trying to take in as many experiences as you can, but never really delving deeply enough. And there may be some, if you want to travel, there may be a time in the next few years, possibly for most of this period of this transit, where you feel a sense of being thwarted from being able to travel. I think that the best opportunity you have for traveling in the next year is if it's connected to work. But truth be told, I'm really delving into Saturn in the ninth house, but you're actually going to be having a lot of Saturn back in that eighth house. So I wanted to give you the dates that Saturn is going to be in the ninth, and then the eighth, and then the ninth again. So Saturn goes into Aquarius on March 21st. I think it's possible if you're in the southern hemisphere, it might be March 22nd, but somewhere around there. And it stays, it only gets up to 1 degree of Aquarius, and then it retrogrades on the 11th of May at 1 degree of Aquarius, and then by July 2nd, it has gone back to 29 degrees of Capricorn. So it goes back into your eighth house, which is the house of metaphysics, the house of shared resources. And that's very interesting, because shared resources can also be like loans. So if you've been trying to get into college, but the financial aid part of it has been kicking your butt, you may have some more work to do when Saturn goes back into that eighth house. You may have thought you had it all ironed out, only to find out that something hasn't been fully resolved. Maybe it's not a loan. Maybe it's like what do they call those things, like for graduate school? Assistantship. and something along those lines where it's kind of like quasi, well, it is a job, but you're also getting, taking a couple classes, and then you're like a teacher's assistant at the college or the university. So something along those lines where maybe you have to give a letter of recommendation that you didn't think you'd have to give, or who knows. Ugh, I remember when I had to do that. I couldn't stand that. I didn't want to ask anybody for a letter of recommendation. But anyway, I digress. So that's happening. And then Saturn goes direct on, when is that? I'm not even looking at anything. I'm just trying to remember in my mind. Oh, yes, September 29th. It goes direct at 25 degrees of Capricorn. And then it's not until December that it goes back into your ninth house. This will be on December 18th. But what's so cool is that on December 19th, Jupiter goes into Aquarius. And I feel like in 2021 that you will have even more opportunities for travel because Jupiter will be in its own house, the ninth house, but also just by the nature of what Jupiter represents, which is, opportunities. So don't fret if you find that it seems like everything is dragging in 2020 with some of your long distance plans, that it might be more viable in 2021. And this can involve anything that's connected to the ninth house. If this is like yoga teacher training, maybe you're trying to get some funding for that, or you're trying to get some teaching position at a university. That might be something that needs to be ironed out. But don't think that it's just impossible. Don't give up, because Saturn needs you to persist. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. 2021, you'll make a lot of progress in this area. Okay, that's what I have for you, Gemini. I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.